Hey everybody, I'm Paul.
And I'm Andrew.
And welcome back to the Fan Voice. We are on episode 16. Gradually climbing the ladder.
Gradually.
Yeah.
We're almost to episode 20, I guess. I don't know. We'll get there.
I'm excited.
Next thing you know, it'll be like 50 episodes.
We'll be like,
holy shit.
Where did the time go?
That's in a while, but it's going to happen.
I remember back in the day talking about Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be great.
So this episode is all about RWBY. So I guess we should start off by saying what RWBY is.
Yeah, what the heck is this RWBY they are talking about?
So, RWBY is how do you describe it? That's what's interesting. It's a web series, first of all. It's fully animated, so this isn't like a Machinima series. If you guys know what Machinima is, it's a lot like Red vs. Blue. If you don't know what Red vs. Blue is, it's basically taking a video game and then making a narrative video out of it. And actually, it doesn't even have to be a narrative video. Sometimes they're just funny videos, whatever. Yeah. But they're using a video game to make a movie or a web series or something like that.
I think what you can call RWBY is the closest thing you can get to a successful series starting with almost nothing to
basically.
Work with.
So the amazing thing about this is, the reason I mentioned Machinima is this, RWBY is developed by Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth started Red vs. Blue a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
It got over 10 years. I think it's 14 years at this point. It got super popular, super suddenly, and Red vs. Blue is basically a Machinima using the Halo series.
Right.
So they got super popular. Then they started doing other stuff. Then they brought on this guy named Maniom to do some animated segments for them.
Yeah.
In Halo.
Right.
For Red vs. Blue. Well, when they bring him on, the first thing he says is, yeah, that's really cool and all, but I've had this idea for the show for a while.
Yeah.
So when he gets some time to himself, he sits down and he tries to, using the mocap studio that they've set up for him, make this kind of proof of concept.
Yeah.
And that ends up becoming the Red trailer.
Right.
Which just blew up.
Absolutely
and
fantastic.
Went crazy, of course. So it became a show.
Right.
They saw it internally and they went, yeah, we want to do this. So they did. They developed RWBY, and it's all just a small group of people.
Yeah.
With, I would imagine, not a very big budget. And
nope, absolutely not.
And they just did it. And the amazing thing to me is that it's a completely independently animated web series done in Poser, of all things, which is basically just like a 3D program to pose models.
Really?
Yeah, and they animate the whole thing in that. And I'm pretty sure that was just the first season. I don't think the second season is. But the first season was all in Poser.
That's still incredible, especially when you think about the fight scenes.
Yeah.
You know, when you take a look at this series, like, just from face value of the first couple scenes, you can definitely see that it's really, really low budget and stuff. You know, I mean, the walking, the talking isn't as smooth as it could be, and backgrounds and scenes are pretty basic. But, you know, I think it couldn't just take anyone to have so little and make so much out of it, you know? Yeah. Especially with their scenes, like in the trailers, of using so much like harsh contrasts between their colors, and the look and feel of the series gave this really like beautiful grit to it. Yeah. You know? They truly made lemonade out of lemons. Yeah,
it was
kind of thing.
It's pretty incredible for obviously what they were working with. I mean, if you have not seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. But I always say that. I say no, check it out. But just so you know, the animation is completely independently done. This is not I mean, it's professional, definitely, but it's not a high quality. This is I mean, when the characters are walking, sometimes things are clipping through other things on their models, and it doesn't look as clean as you would get, you know, if somebody animated it and tried to put it on TV.
Right.
But that's a good thing, because they got to be able to basically just do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
And make the show that they wanted.
Right.
And ultimately it turns out pretty well. I mean, it's pretty incredible that this was just a couple guys, and started in one guy's head, and then two other guys are starting to write it, and then they go, okay, well, we'll just write it like it's an anime, because that would be
absolutely.
awesome.
So, what would you say are your impressions of the first season?
So the first season is, first of all, the fight scenes are incredible, and they're one thing that, and this is what Monoyome is known for. When he was first doing Red vs. Blue, that's the first thought that went through everybody's head, was like, wow, this guy knows how to do fight scenes, and he knows how to choreograph.
Yeah.
He knows how to do mocap.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible that's, I mean, he never, was taught that.
Right.
He just taught himself.
It was just an inherent skill, kind of.
It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see the early bits of Red vs. Blue that are animated, and you're like, God, how did you do that? And there's a sequence where a car goes through a wall. It's really awesomely animated, and I don't know. It's just it's amazing to me. So, really, really well done.
Yeah.
In fight scenes, and otherwise, when they're walking around, hand gestures are a big deal in the show to me, where they don't look natural.
They're just kind of stiff and looping around everywhere, kind of deal.
They just straight up don't look natural. Yeah, no. They kind of look. Everybody's kind of blocky, and they're and their whole body kind of moves when they move one of their arms. And it's like, So, I mean, there's a little bit of that in there too, absolutely. And I'm not denying that in any way.
Yeah.
Animation quality aside, actually writing is much in the same way for me. Mm-hmm. There's parts of the fight scenes where the writing is good.
Yeah.
And it's going towards something, and you see it, and also there are parts that are legitimately funny and that are well set up.
Yeah.
And the jokes are not just like, oh, it's just a one-off joke. It sets it up.
Right.
I like a scene. Any scene with Penny is kind of like that, where it takes a while to kind of set up, and then Penny's kind of this kind of comedic goofball character, and she's very well set up and legitimately funny.
Yeah.
Other parts of the show are very cliche. Some of the lines are
I gotta agree with that.
What is that?
Probably one of my biggest irks about the first season is they love anime.
Yeah.
And to a degree, you can see that they love kind of mainstream anime, and they try to jump their characters into, like you said, a lot of those cliches. They get into toony form or just get really hyperactive sometimes and silly and stuff, and I don't know. For me, that was kind of an issue where it was I get that. The scene where they were all it was their first night spending the night there, and then they just started getting into this girls bickering argument kind of thing, and I'm like, okay, are you guys done? But I mean, later in the series, I was kind of worried that the action scenes, even though absolutely brilliant, one of a kind, would be the only thing to hold it up. In the first half, I was gonna be afraid that the characters would be really shallow.
Yeah, I get that.
And I mean, they're not the deepest characters yet, but they're taking steps.
No, and they really are. And ultimately, I mean, a lot of people don't like for instance, the Jean arc in the first season. I think Jean's a pretty good, he's a decently character in concept.
Yeah.
But the arc with him is just basically him dealing with a bully, and it's very cliche, and then kind of turns into okay, that was good. That was pretty good.
Right.
But ultimately, Jean is a middle-of-the-road character still.
Yeah.
You can see him going somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And they set it up really nice for him and his team to go somewhere with it. And that's a good thing.
Right.
But ultimately, that arc is kind of it's kind of it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's not bad, but it's not good.
Seeing him get kicked around gets kind of tiring after a while.
It's really, this is where we're going?
His humor and dialogue and stuff remind me a little of Sokka, though. Actually,
then that's what I was going to say, and that's why I do like Sean for that reason. I think a lot of his humor is pretty good. He's kind of the goofball, but his character development kind of fell flat in that first season, where it was we're gonna just do the bully thing, I guess. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of over. But like I said, it sets it up nicely for them to take that further.
Yeah.
I think the best piece of writing in the series is Blake. And that happens at the very end. It's the last thing to happen in the season.
Yeah.
They go into her being in the White Fang, which was this kind of terrorist group, basically.
And in this huge world, you finally start to see a big issue of discrimination.
Exactly. So I really like that.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the strongest piece of writing. It's still cliche.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm gonna say it right now. You're a girl with cat ears. Who in the world would hate you in real life?
Well, yeah, I mean,
but for the sake of their world, let's go with it.
For the sake of their world, they just hate everybody. Yeah, no. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting that's what we got from Blake, and I really liked that a lot.
Yeah. So
we got some nice, and also some interaction between her and Weiss, which is also very good.
Right.
So that was the strongest piece to me. It was odd that it ended on that. Mm-hmm. Like, they were just... It's almost like they got to the end of the first season and they were like... Or, like, halfway through. And they were kind of like, let's just keep going like this. And just end the season at some point.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like good season ender. Like, setting things up.
It wasn't... Yeah, it wasn't a strong... it didn't have strong closure, but it had a good hook.
Yeah,
to what was coming.
That's definitely true.
So,
and because it sets up the three main villains of the next season, and it sets up a little bit more of what's his name, Torchwood, Roman
Torchwick. I think it's Torchwick.
I think it's Roman Torchwick, which is a badass name.
I just like to call him Clockwork Orange.
He's Clockwork Orange guy. Yeah, totally. And it sets up a little bit more of him as a villain too. So generally does an okay job. Definitely setting up for the tournament, setting up for all these other things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
But it just kind of ends.
Right.
And I think, once again, I think that's more of like it's a significant problem with, the budget constraints and the writing constraints.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. Is what happened there is that they got to a point where they were kind of like, we need to end the season at some point because we can't do this for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have to end it. And we have an idea of where to go, and we just need to do it.
Right. They just had to wait for the fan base to fill up,
If that's the case, I totally appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a web series. You're independent. Ultimately, you can do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were like, all right, that's it.
And they're more constrained than anyone, so...
Yeah, and honestly, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Overall, season 1, very good, obviously. I really liked it.
Definitely.
And yeah, if you guys have not seen the fights specifically, and you need a reason to watch the show... Holy
moly, it's insanity. I mean, watching the series, but even watching the character trailers are absolutely essential.
So, what I love about it is the character trailers don't spoil anything in the show.
Not really,
We're pretty sure that they're prequels. We haven't seen anything of it yet, by the way, from the show, if you haven't seen it. We haven't seen any of what happens in the trailers.
None of the scenes
They set up the show really well. It just shows you over-the-top ridiculous action.
Yeah.
Which is... I mean, generally, like, half the show.
It's the cornerstone of this show.
Yeah, and it's fucking well done.
And, I would say better than any anime I've seen.
Honestly, yeah. because he just does what he wants to.
Yeah,
and he's not worried about, like, the thing about Naruto sometimes is they're like, somebody goes, oh, let's give Jet Li or Bruce Lee a shout-out. And do a scene from one of his movies and animate it. Because they're just kind of like, I don't know, man. Like, we have all this other stuff to do.
And no matter how over the top in, like, power level that some of these characters get, it doesn't give you the satisfaction of the organic and beautifully choreographed combat of this show.
Mm-hmm. It's very true.
It doesn't compare,
And I like when you know that they're beat. When Roman, Clockwork Orange guy, starts kicking everybody's ass, and then Sun comes in, who is an awesome character, by the way.
Yeah.
Faunus, and he has the gunchucks, which is
he's the Monkey King.
Yeah, he totally is. When he starts doing that, then you realize, like, that like Sun obviously is better than Blake at this point. He comes in and
Right.
just kicks the guy's ass, right?
Yeah,
Knocks him down so he has to run away. So you see, it's not only beautifully choreographed and really smart in the way that the fight scenes are laid out, but you see progression. And I think that's one of my favorite things that's going to happen, is you're going to see progression.
Absolutely,
in fighting styles and in the way that they fight. So I'm really excited for that, specifically, too.
Definitely.
To use fight scenes in such a way that it really does develop.
It makes the characters evolve, and it's really. I'd like to take something from one of the first episodes that RWBY said is basically like seeing new weapons is like meeting new people. And in this anime, that's so true.
It's very true.
When you see a new character, first thing you're thinking is, okay, what crazy thing are they gonna pull out?
All right, what weapon do they have?
It's part gun, we know that, but I gotta see the other half of it.
The first fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I love it too because the weapons really bring out personality in a lot of cases.
And they're so creative.
When I think of Nora, for instance, the hammer is like the perfect weapon for her. Like, seriously. And she also has an explosive weapon, explosive gun.
I think it's so ironic, because the massive hammer is just a weapon of brutality and strength kind of thing, and she's just this fluttery little go with the flow humor bomb thing. Yeah. And it's kind of perfect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, the weapon design and the character design too are very, very good. Mm-hmm. I don't know who does that. They have to have concept artists and people who design these characters. They are doing a really good job.
Yeah,
because when you see these different characters and their designs and everything, they're very smart and they're very well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see more of them. Obviously.
What I'm probably most excited for in season 2 is the tournament.
Yeah.
I am such a sucker for those tournament arcs. Just seeing like these characters you've come to know and love just be forced to their absolute limits against each other, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm. That's a very good point. It's actually one of the things that I think is going to hinge on the writing. See what happens in the tournament.
Right.
Because the tournament is also very cliche.
Yes. And I'm really hoping
in anime.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it doesn't get cut short by some crazy event, because that would make me sad.
I want, me too.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But, generally really liked season 1.
Yeah.
I think it was really good, and like we said, high points and low points.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to talk about season 2?
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit. 2 episodes have come out so far.
2 episodes are out.
I would say for the most part, it's a lot of like hype and prepare for what's coming.
Definitely.
But in between that, they basically showed you how they're like, hey, remember what we're great at? We're going to be even better in this season,
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Between episode 1 and 2, they gave you an incredible action scene, as well as a lot of like inside joke,
comedy,
nerd culture humor.
Yeah.
Fun.
So that's the first thing. That was what I was going to mention too, immediately, is I was like, it's obvious that with the first couple episodes of the second season, they're like, okay, so the last season was good, but we're going to do more of it.
Yes!
Because the first episode is literally a 5-minute food fight. And it's the most epic food fight in existence.
Yep.
Yang puts turkeys on her fists and uses them as gauntlets.
Turkeys the same way again.
Dude, watermelons.
Dude, I'm gonna be sitting at Thanksgiving table, and they're gonna put that turkey down, and I'm like, I gotta punch someone with this.
Excuse me, I use that as a gauntlet. All right.
Gosh.
So yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous and completely awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a great way to like introduce that first, and really that wasn't the first thing that happened. We should talk about the first thing that happened. We finally been really introduced to 2 of the main villains, and names are escaping me.
Mercury and Emerald.
Emerald.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you.
Now Mercury follows the same naming pattern as Neptune and Sun, which are two students from other schools.
Ah, yes.
Okay. So I am curious if Mercury is not in their team on the school, but is also involved in this plot.
You don't think they're from this school here?
No, I think they're from another school that's like visiting.
Interesting, because what is it? My impression was that Sun was just kind of a street rat person, and then they were just kind of taken under the wing of the school.
I mean, that might happen. That's true. Well, I guess we'll have to see. We don't really know yet.
Yeah, they haven't really explained in detail why they're suddenly here.
We haven't gotten that yet. But yeah. So I'm curious to see if that's a thing. But the very first thing that happens is we see these two characters. She's really annoyed with him, which I actually thought was a good introduction. And then we're immediately taken to them beating the crap out of some dude to scare him.
What is it? The Wolverine bookkeeper.
Yeah, the Wolverine bookkeeper. He literally turns into Wolverine. No joke. He like kind of has, well, not really Wolverine, but he has like his nails grow.
A very underwhelming Wolverine.
Yeah, and
that's why he owns a bookstore.
So true. And he gets his butt kicked, and then they walk off, which is
they kill him, and
yeah.
That's it.
So that was fun, and it was actually a really good introduction to the two people we know are going to be in this season, and that are going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really good.
Mm-hmm. And we got what's her name? Cinder.
Yep.
Who's basically the head of these two.
Yeah.
And you see him pushing around Torchwick.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, and I feel like Torchwick is gonna become that really not that threatening bad guy of the series who's always gonna be there.
Yeah,
kind of person.
No, that's definitely true.
That's always the first bad guy, you know.
No, that's a good point. And I'm actually, I'm excited to see where he goes to, because I think he's a well-acted character. That's the thing about this show is, since it's independently produced, they don't bring in a bunch of, like, voice actors. They just have people play a character that they, like, know. So voice acting can be very hit and miss.
Yeah.
And generally, there are lines that are like, oh, God, that was awful. There are other lines that are like, oh, that was good,
Can I be honest about something?
What?
Not crazy about RWBY's voice.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not crazy about annoying characters, and I can see how you would find RWBY annoying.
Yeah.
I think that her voice is perfect for her character.
So
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it, but I kind of get it. I mean, I actually think that she's the best voice actor, though.
Really?
Out of the main four, yeah. Because she not only plays a voice, but she plays it well.
Yeah.
And still puts the best amount of emotion in it, I think, personally, out of the main four. Now people like
We're seeing Blake on the rise, I feel like, since he's like going through so much.
That's definitely true. But there are other characters that are done very well. Glinda has a very good voice actor. The Professor Osprey, Ozpin, excuse me, not Osprey. Very good voice actor.
Yeah.
And he's an actual actor.
Oh, really?
I think he's the one that had previously been in Red vs. Blue. So I'm pretty sure he is and he's very good. I like him a lot.
Absolutely.
And there are other characters that are very good too. I think Sun, very well done actually. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah.
But he plays the part really well. He's kind of like the goofball and delivers some good lines. Goofball. Yeah, so it's hit and miss though. I will fully admit.
And I mean that's just another thing with budget,
Yeah, well, and the other thing about that is that a lot of these people were not voice actors. They were actors, I think, in some capacity at some point. But they came into the company for other reasons. The person who plays Yang was a community manager, and they asked her to play Yang. Yang is the embodiment of her, so it fits. If you see her in real life, she literally she looks like Yang in a lot of respects.
Really?
Yeah, blonde hair, the whole thing, right? So I think it fits well because they're able to just kind of play an extension of themselves, and it works. But I will say they obviously, a lot of them haven't been trained.
No.
So,
but I mean, I guess the beauty of that is where this will be a really great experience for them to like grow into something legitimate, you know?
Yeah. And I think the other thing I'm going to say about this is season 1 was rocky for voice acting. Season 2, first 2 episodes, I mean, it got a lot better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, the point where they're sitting down and playing the card game, I was like, this is already better than season 1.
We didn't talk about that yet, the card game.
The card game. Yeah.
So, we're both pretty darn big Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans. Yeah. So, all of that dramatized strategy games, card games, that dramatized behavior, activating the trap, etc., etc. It's like, thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
And once again, another like thing where they kind of put that in and said, you know, well, here we go. Here's this part of the show, and it's going to be a large comedic aspect of the show.
Yeah,
which is really good.
And an ode to fans.
Yeah,
you definitely. Know, they've shown plenty of that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about predictions
of the future.
What is? Read your crystal ball, Paul. What do you see in the future of RWBY?
Well, I guess we can just briefly go over the trailers because holy crap, a bunch of stuff was happening.
Yeah, and
there were like robots everywhere and stuff.
Yeah, so obviously someone is designing a robot used for fighting. And I think that might be Weiss's family's company, the Schnee family, right? Like they might be developing something to help fight. Which would make sense, I think.
What I just thought of was, I'm thinking the military.
Now that might also be true.
Yeah,
because we just saw the general. Right, we just saw the general. So I think that's probably. I mean, it's either the military or it's the Schnee family. Yeah, you got me to think about the military now. That would make a lot more sense.
It would be interesting if the Schnee family would be behind that.
Yeah, I was actually kind of thinking like privatized military.
Yeah, it would create such a huge, an even bigger crevice between Weiss and Blake.
Yeah, it would. It definitely
would. Have the White Fang like specifically stated what they're trying to accomplish yet, or is it still really vague?
It's pretty vague. I mean, we don't know Roman and the White Fang's plan yet.
Yeah, it's like they're collecting dust, and now they're like phase 2.
And and you don't know. Yeah, we don't know what it is. I mean, that's generally still crowded in mystery.
I mean, what worries me about like the tournament getting cut off is like that trailer had a lot to do with fighting those robots and stuff. You know?
Yeah. So I think. You know, they mentioned and it was funny too. They mentioned in that in the second episode there, like between going to a nightclub and all this other stuff. So they mentioned the nightclub.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that didn't happen yet.
So I'm like, did that already happen? Is this all prequel stuff, or is this gonna happen this season?
I don't think so, because they knew each other.
Did they?
Yeah, like. What is it? I think.
Well, RWBY and Yang did.
Oh, that's true.
But because they're sisters. But I don't think anybody else had anybody else in their trailer.
But that guy who she was like,
I think he's
talking to.
I think
it's like a higher up White Fang guy looking.
Yeah, and I think that's why I thought hers was a prequel. That happened when she was in the White Fang. Then she left and joined the school.
Oh, you're talking about Blake's trailer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, never mind. I was thinking of Yellow, because she was fighting in a nightclub.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I don't even know. All right. Well.
No,
we'll have to see.
Timeline. Whatever.
It may be prequel stuff. It may be happening this season. I'm not sure.
I guess we'll see.
We'll have to see. All we know is that in the second episode, they were like, all right, time to fight. And they're going to go fight people. And they're going to go try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. I think that's going to make this season kind of interesting. So we'll see how it goes, obviously.
I feel like these 3 people, Mercury, Emerald, and Cinder.
Yeah.
I feel like they just might be arc villains.
Like not overall villains?
Yeah.
I can see it.
I feel like after this season, they'll take a little break from White Fang being the main problem, and something much bigger will come about.
Something much bigger is coming about with Cinder, and I don't think she's at the top of it. That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of like, I kind of think there's something else going on there.
Yeah.
Definitely. Obviously, they have a plan, and I don't think Cinder would just be the mastermind, and she'd just be standing there.
No, nor would she be like integrating so much with
Roman. Yeah, specifically.
Absolutely.
Because he's just like a random criminal.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would I'm already thinking that.
Yeah.
That we're gonna find out something else is going on.
Crazy stuff, and
some crazy shit is gonna happen.
Non-stop talked about like, are they ready for a war?
Yeah.
Randomly, it's like, what war? Okay, yeah. I guess there will be a war.
I guess there will be a war. I wouldn't be surprised if the tournament got cut off. It would be very unfortunate. No. I know, but that's okay because I think
what could still happen is there's like, I'm just totally thinking something like Naruto-esque, where like there's like a higher rank at the school or something, and some unexpected character gets into that rank after what little is shown of the tournament or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I've just watched too much Naruto.
Well, I mean, you might be right, but keep in mind, it seems like so have they.
Yeah.
So, you could be right.
Yeah, heavy influences from many, many animes.
Yeah, you may be right. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm interested definitely to see what happens with the main villains, and I think Cinder's not going to be proving... Pretty soon, just gonna not be the main one here.
No,
we're gonna see somebody else.
Yeah,
we're gonna see a little bit more of the plot.
Absolutely.
I also want to know what's going on with his Uncle Crow, with her Uncle Crow.
Oh,
because they constantly talk about that.
He's totally like the legendary hero.
Yeah. So something's going on with him because he obviously knows stuff. Because the other thing is about Ironwood, the general, and Ozpin are talking. About him. So something else is going on there too.
Absolutely.
We don't know what's happening.
Seeing him will be something grand.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I'm looking forward to the rest of this season.
Me too.
If you guys want to watch it, there are several places you can find it. It actually comes out on their website, roosterteeth.com. If you're a sponsor, it comes out a couple hours early, but it always comes out on Thursday. Open to the public at like 7.
Well, both seasons actually are also available on Crunchyroll.
Yep, and it's all on YouTube as well.
Oh, yes, that's right.
It comes out a week delay on YouTube though, so as it's premiering, like episode 3 comes out, episode 2 will come out on YouTube. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
I would honestly go to Crunchyroll.
Absolutely.
It's cheaper. Their website's good generally. Kind of has some performance issues for me sometimes when I'm watching video, but that's okay.
The ads, yeah.
Yeah, something's going on with that. I don't know what's up, but so yeah, you can find it pretty much everywhere, and I would highly recommend. It only here's the other thing. It only takes a couple hours to watch the entire first season.
These episodes are like 5 to 15 minutes long.
I mean, it's fantastic because it's just like it's like a movie. I'll just binge watch it.
Absolutely.
It's generally well done, and it's an entertaining afternoon.
Yeah.
So if you have some time, sit down, watch it.
Just watch the whole thing. It'll take you no time whatsoever, and you can discuss it with us.
Yes.
Then. And for all you fans who are following with us, please give us your input on the first couple episodes that have come out. We'd love to hear your opinions.
Tell us what you think. We can be found at facebook.com/thefanvoicepodcast,
youtube.com/thefanvoicepodcast,
Twitter @fanvoicepodcast,
our email fan@thefanvoice.com,
and of course thefanvoice.com. Where you can find us, talk about stuff. Paul just put up an awesome review of Season 2, Episode 1 of RWBY.
Yeah.
So you can go find that out as well, as long as any other news and general happenings.
Yeah. We got it all.
General stuff. So yeah, go check out RWBY. Go check out our site. Tell us what you think.
All right.
And I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. See ya.